Oh, you already know. We got to talk about it. The newest episode of Dragon Ball Daima. That's right. It had a few, well, one in particular really cool moment, but we'll get to that. So, I mean, we start out from where the last episode ended. Shocker, I know. But yeah, Pansy was there, the new character, right? She's like this little girl that we found out was a little girl from the last episode. She's there with like Goku and the gang, you know, Shin and Glorio, and she asks, oh, how is he so strong? And like notices his ears around, and she's like, oh, where are you from? Like, what are you? And he's like, oh, I'm a Saiyan. And when she asks like, where are you from? Glorio's like, from the second demon realm. All right, from the second demon realm. Okay, stop asking questions. No, but seriously. And then they start to walk away, and she's like, let me go with you. And then Shin is like, well, we're going to a castle. Pansy already knows what the castle's called. So she's like, oh, you're going to Castle Kadan. And so she has to like tag along, right? Glorio's like, no. And she's like, come on, I know where it is. And he's like, whatever. So she like, she goes with him and whatever. And like, they're walking. And then she's like, oh, Goku, can you use magic? She's like, every Majin knows at least one magic spell. And so she like, Goku's like, huh? And he like tries to like touch his tongue to his nose, and she's like, yo, that's not magic. It's kind of funny. Then she like uses like this force magic, right? Like she like frees a telekinesis essentially on this like little rock, and she could barely lift it with all her strength. She's like, ugh. She's like, actually, I'm more of like a tinkerer of machines. Like looks at the camera and smiles, and you're like, okay, so she's like the Bulma of the group. Okay, which is cool. I mean, you know, they get like, it's very Dragon Ball, right? So we got like a new Bulma of the group. You know, Glorio is up to his weird, shady antics. You know, Shin's right there trying to like decipher everything. Goku's Goku, right? So they go on like a little trek towards the castle, and then she's like asking all these questions. Glorio's like, stop asking questions or leave. And she's like, yo, at least what's your name? Goku's like, oh, it's Glory. And he's like, it's actually Glorio. Yeah, anyway, they get to like this fork in the road, and she's like, oh, let's go this way. It's a shortcut to the castle. And then they're like, okay, how the fuck does she know that? Then they get to the castle. Glorio's like, oh, let's ask, you know, let's talk to the king, see if we could borrow a ship. And then they go up to the castle gates, and it cuts to Dende again. So we get to see like what Dende's up to. And King Goma just has like one of his like servant like maids or whatever, like this lady. She's kind of like a nurse or something. She's like reading like a storybook to Dende, and Dende's like, you know, and then Goma comes in, and he's like, oh, read with more gusto, okay? We want him to be taken care of because one day he's gonna create Dragon Balls for us. And you know, he's all devious about it or whatever. But I mean, it's you know, it's kind of endearing a little bit, because you're like, he's actually taking care of Dende, which is kind of cool. But of course he wants the Dragon Balls, and he wants to abuse him for that, just like how he's abusing Neva, right? I guess. Well, is he really abusing him, or is they're just using him, right? They get to the castle, it cuts back, they get to the castle gates, and then she's like, oh, I'm coming up with you. And then Gloria's like, no, stay back. You're going to get turned away anyway. Gloria goes up. He's like, oh, you guys saw me yesterday. They're like, oh, yeah, okay. Who are these brats? And then we find out Pansy's actually the princess of the castle. And they're all like, what the fuck? Like, and Shin's like, you could have told us that before. And then she's like, yeah, whatever. And then like they go and they meet the king. He's like this big. He has like an onion head. I mean, kind of looks like an onion, but makes sense, right? It's a Dragon Ball. Essentially, they're talking about how the king states, I'm just trying to remember everything. The king asked Glorio, no, the king said that Glorio came to him and was like, oh, he can bring some people that have killed Majin Buu, strong enough to kill Majin Buu, right? And then so he did, obviously, and then he brought him back. And so to like test their strength, he was like, oh, let me have you fight my soldiers or whatever. But actually right before that, I almost forgot. That was pretty funny. He was like, oh, if you can defeat King Goma, I'll let you marry Pansy. And then Pansy's like, you can't do that. And then he's like, whoa, I mean, when you get older, right? Because she's like a kid. But she's also 82, by the way. So you already know how some people in the anime community are going to act to that. She's 82, right? Because they live for thousands of years. So she looks like a kid at 82. And oh boy, y'all already know what's gonna happen in the anime community with some people. All right. Anyway, and then Goku was like, actually, I'm already married and have kids. And they're like, what? They're like, what does your race look like, kids? And he's like, and then Shin's like, actually, Goma turned us into kids with the Dragon Balls. So we're trying to get the Demon Realm Dragon Balls. And then King Kadon's like, what? You're trying to get those Dragon Balls? It's like, yeah, right. So you're gonna fight the Tamagamis or whatever? And then Goku's like, yeah, so what? It'll work out. And so he's like, all right, well, if you're strong enough, then prove it. And so he has him fight his soldiers. And then this is where we get this like really cool scene of just like Goku fighting off a bunch of dudes as a, you know, with like Dragon Ball martial arts, right? So it's like really nice to watch. And there's a point where they all like jump him, right? At the same time, they're like, oh, grab him. And they all get on top of him. And then finally, we get to see him go Super Saiyan for the first time. We knew it was coming, but like, what was crazy about it was he just does it to get them off of him. Like he goes, bah! He goes like Super Saiyan, you know, everyone around him, like Pansy, the king, they're all like, whoa. But what he does, he goes back to like his normal base form, but he keeps his like golden aura around him, right? So it's like he's keeping his strength in his base form. It's kind of cool looking. And then he just like easily takes care of the rest of the guys, right? Yeah, so it was like this really cool moment of martial arts, and we got to see him go Super Saiyan, and like they were all impressed, and Shin's just like smirking like, yeah, that's Goku. It's really cool. I really like that. So after that, the king's like, okay, all right, we'll give you the ship that you want. And then Shin was like, oh, well, we actually have friends on the other side in Universe 7, but we can't get them here because they don't know the pin number for Warp Sama. And the king's like, shit, damn, I can't really do much. And he's like, well, actually, and then he has like one of his minions like take a ship and go to Kami's lookout, right? Not yet, but like he's going to go do it, which is cool. So we got like that going on the side now, is like we got like one of his minions going to go take a ship and pick up like Vegeta, Piccolo, whoever else is strong enough to come back. They get the ship, and then Pansy is like, I'm coming along, and she brings like all this luggage and stuff. And you're like, oh boy, here we go, you know, just to be funny or whatever. And then Shin comes over to Goku and he's like, hey, like Glorio's definitely up to something. And Goku's like, what do you mean? And then Shin's like, the king didn't know that we were kids. So Glorio actually came to the king first, but Glorio told us the king told him to go, right? So Shin like kind of figured out that Glorio's lying and he's up to something. So, and then Goku was like, oh, well, does it even matter? And it's like, he's kind of right. I mean, like, right. Like what, even if Glorio is being devious, it's like in the end, what is he going to do with when Goku could just like beat his ass, right? Who knows? We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen, but Glorio is definitely up to something. We've been knowing this for like, since the first episode he's appeared. Actually, since the very first episode, because he was like listening to King Goma, right, enact his plan. So they get in the ship and everything, and they're about to take off, and you're like, wow. And they're like, oh, so how far is it to like the first Dragon Ball? And they're like 4 days, and Goku's like, what? 4 days? So like they take off, and immediately when we think that the journey is finally about to like get going, the ship's engines explode. Yeah, I know. And it was because Pansy brought on too much luggage. That's right. Yeah. So, you know, we're like, yeah, finally. Yeah, they're finally going to get to the Dragon Ball soon. And then all of a sudden their engine explodes and they crash. And that was the end of the episode. So, well, I mean, we were almost there. We're almost there. So I don't know. It's interesting that they're really holding back, right? They're really holding back on advancing their, like getting to the Dragon Balls. So I'm thinking the Tamagamis are going to be way more powerful than they think, right? They're probably going to need the help of Vegeta and Piccolo and stuff. Don't forget last episode, we got the fusion bugs. So something's got to be powerful enough like that, because obviously it was a foreshadowing of fusion, right? So we're getting something powerful enough to warrant a fusion, right? Majin Buu was that powerful. So something's gonna happen. Something is going to happen where they need a fusion. They need the others here before they fight the Tamagamis, is what it looks like the story is going to lead into. But we'll see. we'll see. That episode was really good because we finally get to see like Goku go Super Saiyan. That was a really cool moment. We get these, you know, Pansy's a new character, we learn about her. The King's a new character, we learn about him. It's really cool. I liked it a lot. Definitely worth watching. I know pretty much all these talking about it is like spoilers, but I'm sure you guys before watching this probably already watched the episode. You just want to see someone's like take on it. So I thought it was good. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of it. You know, was there anything like I forgot? I don't think so. I think I hit all the big points of it, but if there's anything you guys noticed that maybe I didn't notice, or, you know, how do you feel about it so far? I know some people think that it might be taking too long for anything to happen. Fair. Because there's only like 20 something episodes. We're already 5 episodes in. We have got a lot of lore. So I like that. But other than that, yeah, no insane fights yet. Just like little bouts here and there showing Goku like training and stuff before he's getting, you know, really into the thick of things. So we'll see. I think it's going to be pretty epic. We're getting a fusion. It's coming. We don't know who's fusing. And also, one thing on the fusion, the bugs actually can do more than 2 people, it seems. Who knows? I mean, it could be a crazy fusion we've never even thought of. So we'll see. Yeah, but anyways, let me know what you guys think down below. You know, maybe give the video a like or dislike if you know, if you disliked it. But anyway, I guess that's it.